Good morning, folks. All right, this food stamp thing is actually quite a big deal. Turns out it's actually a few hours later than it was when I did the other video. But now, what we have here is SNAP benefits will restart, but will be half their normal payment and delayed. Here's the problem with that. So, let's say you normally get the full amount of food stamps. Last time I was on, it was $301, $302, something like that. So now you're going to get $151 if you can get the max amount, and it'll be delayed. So let's dig into this. This was November 3rd, 2025, 2:30 p.m. is when this came out. It is 4:14 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, the Trump administration says it will restart SNAP food benefits, but it will pay out only half the amount people normally get. The administration says it will use the money from the Agricultural Department Contingency Fund that has $5 billion in it. The normal food stamp amounts for everybody is $8 billion every month, so they're $3 billion short. In a court filing, officials said depleting that fund means no funds will remain for new SNAP applicants certified in November. No money for disaster assistance or as a cushion against the potential catastrophic consequences of shutting SNAP down entirely. Well, it wouldn't do much in this scenario anyway. All they've got is $5 billion. So if, say, SNAP were to shut down entirely, they would still be doing this just for one more month after SNAP was canceled, if that's the goal. And actually, interestingly enough, maybe that is the goal. Maybe that is the goal, to cancel, to give enough reasons to cancel it entirely. So, the decision comes after two federal judges ruled that freezing payments for the country's biggest anti-hunger program is unlawful, even as the money ran out this weekend for the 42 million people who rely on SNAP to put food on the table. The government's response is part of the case in Rhode Island. The Trump administration had until Monday to tell two federal judges its plans to restore funding for SNAP amidst the ongoing federal government shutdown. The administration warns there could be lengthy delays before the benefits get into the hands of low-income families who depend on SNAP to put food on the table. About 1 in 8 U.S. residents gets an average of $187 a month per person in SNAP, which stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. So almost 39% of the recipients are children and individuals under the age of 18, according to the USDA, which administers the program. The courts told Trump to use the emergency funds, even though it doesn't cover all of the SNAP benefits. Citing the government shutdown, the USDA froze funding for SNAP beginning November 1st. The first time that's happened since the country's largest anti-hunger program began 60 years ago. 60 years ago. On Friday, two federal judges ruled that this pause is likely unlawful. Both judges said that Congress provided more than $5 billion in emergency funds for exactly this kind of situation, and they rejected the Trump administration's argument that it could not legally use that money to keep SNAP going. It not only can use the money, but must, the judges said. In Rhode Island, Judge John McConnell Jr. called for the contingency funds to be used as soon as possible. A second judge in Boston said officials could also tap additional money from customs revenues, but she left that decision up to the Trump administration, and the Trump administration has declined to use any of those customs revenues for food stamps. Why aren't they using all that tariff money? I mean, don't we have billions and billions in tariff revenue they could use to fund SNAP? Democracy Forward, moving on, Democracy Forward, the legal group that represented cities and nonprofits in suing the government after it froze funding for SNAP, said Monday that it is weighing its next steps to try to secure full funding for the food assistance program. It shouldn't take a court order, as they said, it shouldn't take a court order to force our president to provide essential nutrition that Congress has made clear needs to be provided. The Democracy Forward president and CEO, Skye Perryman, said in a statement. But since that is what it takes, we will continue to use the courts to protect the rights of the people. After the rulings were issued on Friday, that was, I think, November the 1st. No, Friday was the 31st. Friday was the 31st. So the Trump secretary, Scott Bessent, told CNN Sunday that the Trump administration would not appeal the judge's ruling. Probably a good idea. He said that it's possible funding for SNAP could be restored by Wednesday, but there's a process that has to be followed. We've got to figure out what the process is. So the truth is that this is a logistical nightmare. They can only fund half the amounts because they don't have the entire full amount of funding for food stamps. They need $8 billion. They've got $5 billion. So a delay in benefits was expected regardless of the outcome of the court cases, because many beneficiaries have their cards recharged early in the month, and the process of loading cards can take a week or more in many states. The government said Monday that the state agencies will have to recode their eligibility systems to adjust for the reduced benefits. It is unclear how quickly the state systems will be able to do so. It was warned that in some states, these system changes will take anywhere from a few weeks to several months. In other words, they can't just go in individually and change everybody's amount by 50%. They have to run a program to change the maximum amount temporarily. So they have to program that, and it's going to take weeks, if not months. Then they have to send that data to the processor, and the processor has to load the cards. It would probably be faster just to recertify everyone at that point. So it's not an immediate fix. Not even close. It's still going to take months and months to get these people their food stamps for November. And then what happens when the government reopens? Will they get the other half of their food stamps for November eventually? Would it have been easier just to not pay it and then give them all a lump sum for X number of months? Would that have been easier? Who knows? Because it sounds to me like whatever's going to happen, nobody on SNAP is going to get their SNAP benefits this month. And to add fuel to that fire, the Trump administration has previously said that calculating partial payments is a logistical nightmare that could take time to arrange in the middle of a shutdown. Several states have said they will use their own funds to cover any shortfall in SNAP funding. However, the Trump administration has warned it will not reimburse states. Several states, including Arkansas, New Hampshire, and Washington, have also announced measures to help support food banks and food pantries. However, like I said in my last video, food banks can't replace SNAP. What is clear is that a lot of money has disappeared from people's food budgets. And anti-hunger advocates say that food banks alone will not be able to make up the difference. It's because a food bank can't hand somebody $300 worth of food or $200 worth of food. And a lot of food banks don't have cold items. They don't have fresh meat. They don't have milk. They don't have butter. They don't have anything in the cold sections of a grocery store. Not usually. Now, mine does carry a little bit of cold stuff, but not every food pantry does. Some food pantries are totally shelf-stable only, and they may not have shelf-stable milk or powdered eggs and things like that. So there's no possible way that a food pantry can make up for the lack of SNAP funds, because a food pantry only has, what they have. They may not have, if somebody needs baby food, they may not have baby food. They may not have formula. That kind of stuff. You got to, and you don't get any choice with the food pantry in most cases. They're going to give you what they have, and that's that. My food pantry is actually kind of rare in the fact that I can tell them what I want, and they'll give me exactly what I want if they have it. If they have it. And they don't have a full spread of everything either. So, my food pantry only has what it has. If I want potato chips, they don't have it. If I want tortilla shells, they don't have it. If I want jalapenos, they don't have it. Salsa, they don't have it. Mayonnaise, they don't have it. Mustard, they usually do have. Ketchup, they usually have. But there's a lot of things food pantry doesn't have. Spices, they don't have it. So it is impossible for a food pantry to make up for that gap. But they're going to try, of course. Now let's see what else there is here. Nope, I think that was the newest article. So folks, if you get SNAP, you have my deepest sympathies. Hit up your food pantry, hit up 2 or 3 of them if you can get to them. You're going to be scrounging and scrapping this month, and I'm sorry. It shouldn't have happened, but it did. So you have my deepest sympathies. I really feel for you. I do. Try church groups or something like that. I don't know. What is it? What's the number for assistance? There's a number somewhere that you can call for assistance ideas. I don't remember what it is, but I think you can look it up. Anyway, folks, that is it for this video. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe, and I will bring another interesting video to you soon. Have a good day, guys. I wish you the best. I hope this all gets resolved a lot quicker than they say it's going to be resolved.